What's up, YouTube? Knight's Edge here. Got another little quick review for you. This is the Spyderco knives Kapara. Pretty much, I would say it's one of my favorite knives ever made. It's definitely in the top, I don't know, top 5, maybe top 3, possibly my favorite in my collection that I have. And here's a little video on it telling you why, I guess. I'm going to critique it, but there's not really, in my eyes, I haven't seen a whole lot to critique about it, so a little bit of a spoiler alert here. Yeah, so anyway, Spyderco knives Kapara. Overview of it, I guess, before I go into the specs and everything. I'm just going to read it right off of the DLT Trading website, and I'll have that link down below. It is available, pretty readily available knife compared to a lot of Spydercos, like the Slice Bowie that's coming out this Thursday on Knife Joy, which comes out of the same factory and is somehow not nearly as available as the Kapara is, but and also is almost $200 more. But anyway, Kapara, this is the description from DLT and also from Spyderco. Kapara, K-A-P-A-R-A, it's based on an Australian custom knife maker, Alastair Phillips' popular redback folder design. So it's based on a custom, named after an Australian spider with a distinctive red stripe along the back of its abdomen. Spyderco Kapara, another name for the famous redback spider, faithfully replicates Phillips' distinctive style and craftsmanship, as well as a signature red back spacer of his custom knife. There's your red back spacer on it. So, that's pretty much like a little overview of the story. Name of the knife. Alastair Phillips is the designer based on his custom knife. He worked with Spyderco to produce this one. That's his maker's mark right there. Alastair Phillips right there. That's his little maker's mark. Which you'll see on all Spyderco knives that are kind of like co-designed. You know, you'll have that maker's mark. And the ones that are designed by Eric Glesser and Sal Glesser, or both of them, whatever, have their mark on them too. But anyway, go ahead and do a measurement on this. Overall, Spyderco Kapara, total length coming in right at 8 1/4. Blade length on this thing, you're looking at 3 5/8. Right at 3 5/8 for blade length. Cutting edge on it, 3 1/2 on the dot. I guess if you go all the way back to the farthest point right there, you could call it 3 3/4 blade length. Pretty full size knife. Go ahead and do, well, I'll do size comparisons first. Size comparisons on it. Put it up next to the Cold Steel 8010. A lot smaller than the 8010. Pivot to pivot. Lengthwise, it's, you know, not too much smaller than the 8010. You know, but way less weight, way less bulky, all that stuff. Here's the Demco knives 8020. Larger knife than the 8020 for sure. Hogue, that's the Hogue RSK MK1 G10 variant of that with the 20 CV blade. Full size knife, I'd call it. Right around the same size as the Kapara. Kapara is a little bit longer. And here's the Deca. The Deca is a little bit shorter than the Kapara. And we'll go ahead and do it next to some of its brothers and sisters here. Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which it bears a lot of similarities to that. Actually, am going to do a versus video with these two because the similarities are just, you know, they're crazy. This is a newer model than the Paramilitary 2, but in a lot of ways, this is kind of like an upgraded version of this one. But anyway, that is a full-size Spyderco Paramilitary 2. And here is the Spyderco Para 3. So it's definitely a lot longer than the Para 3, but you also see profile-wise, if you look at the blade, you're not looking at as much sticking up. It doesn't have that signature hump that the Para 3's got and the Paramilitary 2's got. So I'd say it's fairly similar to the Paramilitary 2. We'll go ahead and get out another Spyderco. Let's see here. This is the Spyderco Shaman, full-size Spyderco knife. Got a review on that one coming too. Whenever I get to my American-made Spydercos. This one's also made in Taichung, by the way. So Spyderco size compared to the Shaman, you know, Shaman's has more of a presence, a little bit longer overall, but not by much. Kind of looks that way because of the way that it's placed, but if you swap them around, just because of the way that the camera's angled, you know, you can see they're fairly close, like almost exact as far as full size. But bulkiness, you know, thickness, the Shaman is more of a thick workhorse, I'd say, than the Kapara. And whenever I do that comparison video, I'm probably gonna put this one in there too. This is the last Spyderco I'll show you that I'm gonna compare it with, and that's the Mannix 2, regular size Mannix 2. Longer than the Mannix 2 for sure. You know, Mannix 2 got more of a choke up spot there though. So anyway, put these up. So that's all the size comparisons against the Kapara, with some off-brand, you know, not Spyderco brand knives, and some Spyderco knives. Go ahead and get the calibers out before I skip that step, like I think I did in one of the last couple videos. Still getting used to this stuff, folks. Take it easy on me. Now, thickest part of the blade, looking at 91 thousandths on the thickest part of the spine there. I think that's the thickest. Yeah, that's 81. Go back and double check that. No, that's 111 thousandths. All right, so thinnest part, this is a full flat grind on this. Thinnest part, 25 thousandths at the tip, belly side where the belly and the tip are. 23 thousandths right there. Middle, 19 thousandths there. This is a slicing machine. That's one of the reasons it's, you know, probably one of my favorite knives that I own. Slicing machine for sure. So go ahead and get the scale out. Let it zero out. The scale, you're looking at 3.3 ounces, so you're looking at under the ounce to inch ratio actually on that. Let me double check that while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, definitely right at 3.5 inches. So yeah, well under the ounce and inch ratio. Getting a lot of cutting edge for the weight on it. So let me close it up. I'll put it back on there just to double check the weight on it. 3.4, 3.4, 3.4. So right at 3.4 ounces. Excellent, excellent weight on this thing for sure. I do make a lot of aftermarket clips, and a lot of my Spydercos do have aftermarket clips, but I really like the wire clip. So that's why I kept it on this one. I wish Spyderco would go to the wire clip for all their knives. That's what you're looking at sticking out of the pocket if you got the wire clip on it. Pretty low profile, you know, doesn't scream, hey, I got a pocket knife type of carry there. So that's it in the blue jeans. And go ahead and do a hardware check on this thing. This is a T8. It's a T8 bit. I think it's a T8, but let me get my T10 just to double check that. That's a T10. Yeah, that's T10. T10 on the pivot. That's excellent. T8. Oh yeah, that's good. T8. That's what I was thinking. Was it was all T8, but I didn't know the pivot was a T10. So reversible. Not. You can't carry this thing tip up and put the clip up here, obviously, but you can carry it left hand. It does have a left hand spot where you can take your T8 bit and put the clip over there. That's awesome. And plus, not having T6s on this thing makes it a lot easier to take apart. The only thing I would say as far as disassembly goes, it's a negative for this knife, and that's why I'm not going to put it all the way at 100% at the end, is it does not have a captive pivot, right? So you're going to need two T8 or T10s to take it apart. Not really a big deal, you know. I've got plenty of drivers and stuff take it apart, and I've never actually disassembled this knife either. You know, I have not had a need to. I've cleaned it, I've you know, oiled it, put KPL on the the washers, which is another thing that's great about this knife, is the action's so smooth and it's running on washers. But I've never disassembled it. Never had a need to scale swap either, and we'll go over that here in just a second. But I'm gonna go ahead and flip it open and go over the blade. The blade's a S30V blade. There's no jimping up here, which I guess it could be, but it's so smooth and contoured that there's really no need for it. Now, if you got a choke back, you're sitting right about right here, you know. If you hold it choked back, choked up, this is like a natural little spot for your finger to slide on. There's no flippers sticking out there, nothing. So it feels like a natural, comfortable spot for it choked up. It's absolutely perfect to do choked up work. Pinch cut, you can pinch it right here. Do draw cuts on it, you know. Like Tri-State says, pinch cut all day on that. You know, pinch cut's really comfortable on that. Ergonomically, this thing is just, it feels great in the hand. This is not like a knife you would go and baton wood with, or you know, do any kind of prying with or anything like that, which there's very few knives I would, or no really knives I would recommend for that, but this one even less so, you know. Like if I was in a bind in the woods, I would, even though I like the Kapara miles more, I would still have to say I'd rather have that one than that one, you know. So it does have its, you know, its circumstances that it's not perfect for, but you know, there's not many. Great action on it, reverse flicks out great. Very comfortable, just natural. This is like one of the most flickiest knives, you know, fidget friendly knives I guess that Spyderco has. You know, I can do thumb flick on it, reverse flick, fully comfortable, excellent. It's got a secondary D10 in it, the compression lock, which I don't even know if I've shown that on my channel yet or not. I don't think I have, but this is Spyderco's compression lock, which if you look at it, compression lock is like a reverse liner lock of sorts. And you got that over travel stop bar there too. It's a really strong lockup mechanism, but what makes it to me a lot better than a liner lock is if this knife was a liner lock, to close it I'd have to push over here like that and then close the blade. Now with a compression lock, all you gotta do is slide your finger up and adjust your thumb and pinch it right here, pushing that over that little tab, and that disengages it. Compression lock knives, to me, a compression lock is my favorite locking mechanism, because not only is it strong, but it's absolutely convenient. Very easy to do one-handed, no problem, you know. Great locking mechanism. It used to be trademarked by Spyderco, but I think the trademark, the patent ran out on it, just as it did with Benchmade and the Axis lock. But excellent locking mechanism. Can't recommend that enough. It was invented by Spyderco and been used by them for the most part. Although now that the patent's out, there's a lot of other knives using that, and then plus the compression button actuated compression lock. But anyway, that's the lock. That's the compression lock. Great lock. The handle material, carbon fiber. This is a true carbon fiber. It's kind of like I guess you'd call that a weave, maybe. I don't know if that's a weave or not, but I love the handle material. I love this carbon fiber that's on this one. It's not like the peel ply that comes on like the Smock and a couple of other Taiwan made Spydercos. I love the texturing on that. It feels really nice, good in the hand, very lightweight. As I showed you earlier, you know, this thing being under the ounce and inch ratio for a 3.5 inch cutting edge knife, that's pretty good. Really lightweight, you know. The centering on it, you know, you're centered up right about right there, which if you're choked back is dead center. If you're choked up, it's centered right here. That's perfect to me. This is really good centering on it. The blade's perfectly centered. It came perfectly centered like that. Like I said, I've never adjusted this knife. I've never adjusted the pivot on it. You know, there's no blade play back and forth. It has zero blade play back and forth. That's a great thing. Blade material, S30V, great steel. Used to be like one of the top tier steels 10, 15 years ago. Now it's kind of been edged out by, you know, like Rex 45, K390, Magna Cut, a lot of more updated modern super steels, but S30V is to me still a good all-around steel. You know, it's got a decent amount of corrosive resistance, holds an edge pretty well, and it's not very hard to sharpen. So S30V is a pretty good steel for this knife. And I guess the one of the only negatives that I would have that I can even think of for this knife would be the price. And you know, the price, I guess, coupled with the steel. So right now it's a 260 bucks. This is a $264 knife. If you look on DLT Trading right now, to me, $264 knife, Spyderco could be, they should be putting a little bit better of a steel on here now. You know, S45VN would be great. You know, Magna Cut, Van X. Yeah, I know that one's hard, and definitely wouldn't be easy to keep that price point. But there's some other steels that for, you know, $264, I think Spyderco could do better. You know, instead of just letting this sit there and perpetually stay a high price knife, even though times are changing and super steels are turning into regular steels, you know, as far as price and what you can get goes. Availability is getting more and more for more high-end steels. I'd say that you know, that's the one thing with the knife that that I would say they could do better on. This is the CQI version. I'm not quite sure. CQI is Spyderco's program where with older models they come back and do constant quality improvement. It's what they call it, CQI. I'm not sure what has changed from the Kapara originally, but you know, if they do another CQI version of it, I would definitely recommend a steel upgrade and a captive pivot. That's the only two downsides for the knife to me. And like I said, S30V, you know, I already own the knife, so I'm not bitching or complaining about you know, having to pay a price. So the S30V is fine for me because I already own it and I already paid a price for it. You know, perfect steel. It's a good steel. It holds an edge and it's easy to sharpen. And the captive pivot, that part really doesn't bother me either because I'm not taking it apart. There's no need for me to take it apart. There's nothing wrong with it. And plus I have multiple drivers. This is out of Spyderco's Taichung, Taiwan plant. You can see it right there. Taichung, Taiwan does a lot of the best. Had a little scratch on it kind of right there at the end, you can see, in the satin finish. But Taichung Taiwan does probably better fit and finish, I would say, than Golden Colorado does, and that's, you know, that's a lot coming from me because I'm a big fan of Golden Colorado knives. I love their the knives that come out of Golden Colorado at the Spyderco plant there. But to me, Taichung Taiwan has some really nice fit and finish knives. You know, the smoothness, the contouring, the quality of it, the finish on the blade, you know, all the little details, the back spacer, the countersunk screws, that neat little pattern in the pivot right there, everything about the knife, just, you know, it's great. You can tell they put a lot of effort into their fit and finish, into the quality of their knives. So that is pretty much everything I could think of to talk about with it. Oh, the lanyard hole. It's got a lanyard hole up top if you're interested in putting a lanyard on this thing. They do sell aftermarket scales for this, just as they do for many Spydercos, but I've never really seen the need to swap the scales out on this one, and that's saying a lot because a lot of my Spydercos are heavily modded, as you guys are going to find out whenever I get to the American made and the smock and all the rest of my Spydercos. But yeah, this is essentially almost a perfect knife. I give it a 97 out of 100. Just because of the fact that it does not have a captive pivot, and for the price nowadays, S30V could do a lot better than that. But everything else on the knife, wonderful, great, highly recommended everyday carry knife. You know, perfect knife, almost, to me. So that is the Spyderco knives Kapara. Thank you guys for watching. I'll have the link for DLT down in the description below, and really appreciate everybody that's subscribed to the channel. And subscribing's free, so hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content, more knife content. And until next time, it's the Knight's Edge. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.